All right, we are live and rocking and rolling. So here we go. It is Income Navigator live trading on April 3rd, 2025. Market is in absolute free fall from yesterday's Liberation Day tariffs. Everyone being liberated of their money and their IRAs and their retirement funds today. Market is down a little over 4% on the SPY. Qs are down almost 5%, and small caps, the IWM, down over 6% on the day. It is a tough day for many. However, I think there's opportunities to be found. We're going to take a look at those things. And Kurt, yes, I did hear about the Triumph tribute album. I'm already on that list uh, for that. It's a pretty cool looking massive album set. So some cool guys on there. So yes, looking forward to the tribute album for Triumph this summer. Uh, all right, so let's take a look. I got a lot of charts, a lot of things lined up. We'll take a look. We had to stop out of a 112 naked put today. I let it go probably a little farther past than I wanted, so I probably called the low of the session. I think there's opportunities out there. I'm not saying you should jump in and buy a bunch of stuff, but we'll take a look at what we can do and what we should do. My account's fine, to be honest. I mean, yes, it's down a substantial amount on the net lick, but outside of the one that I stopped on, nothing else to stop on here. So we could get worse. Things could get certainly go worse, and I assume that they probably will. I think today you can call it whatever you want the day after. It's probably retaliation day too, so you'll see what all of these countries do, and then the negotiating is in. However, it can't get much worse I mean, the markets can get worse, but it can't get much worse coming out of the White House here. They went pretty hard and heavy with the tariffs, harder than most people anticipated. Some pretty big numbers. I don't know that I like the way they calculated some of the things, but it is what it is. It's just a catalyst. It's a reason to take profits. So we'll see what happens here. But I don't know that it can get a lot worse out of the White House. Now, the markets can absolutely get worse, but at least that news is out of the way. All right, so let's get rocking on it. Let's look at some charts. Here we go. Now I'll get off the screen. And still people piling in. I'll do my best to let people in. All right, here we go. So taking a look at things overall, we talked about the H pattern uh, several times this week. Tweeted about it, put this info out. There's pretty good indication of exactly what that looks like when it comes to that. You're dropping down, up on weak volume, roll over, breaking the neckline here, which is what we're doing today, and gapping down past it. Does it mean things can get worse? I don't know. It's always possible, but it's also a good opportunity that, um, yeah, a lot of times you see this long leg here is about the same amount as the long leg down. So that would put us, that was what, 6,100 to about 5,500, so about 600 points. I'm not saying we're going down another 600 points, but that would put 5,000 in the sights here. That's a pretty good drop from here. I'm not saying that that's where we'll get to. We are getting to some extreme readings, but not yet. If you look at the weekly chart here, even with today's, MACD is definitely negative. Things have been negative. So it's really not a surprise. You couldn't expect that we were, going to bounce and just rally back to all high time highs on the longer term time frame here. That just wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, in my opinion. You just trade the trend and what you see. Well, this trend is now, oops, no, I'm still drawing. That's why. So hang on. Let me get to some things that I want to jump in on. So first off, let's Dang, nabbit. I sound like Bobby getting all mad. All right, so I'm going to change this trend line to the newer color that I've been using because it's easier to see. But if we take a look at the trend, oh, gone. This is not going great here. All right, hang on. Let's get into this thing, get this off. Now that I moved it, we can actually put it on. This trend line here is what we want to look at. So we did come close to hitting that top of that trend line yesterday. We absolutely failed at it. So this is the prevailing trend. This is what we're watching until we break this trend. There is no reason, in my opinion, to go all in and get long on anything. So it makes no sense right now to do a whole lot of anything. If you want to try picking the bottom, you do it at your own risk. I think right now you just got to let people play out. I don't know that necessarily my 3-day gap rule is in effect here, but uh, we're looking at ES or the S&P minis. We can look at like S&P or something like that, a little bit different than ES, which trades 23.5 or 6. But we had a bear flag, we had an H pattern, we had all of those things. They broke down. We tried to hold this support level, tried to get the double bottom in, didn't work, gapping down. So we got a gap down today on this. Uh, there's just nothing positive to do out there. I wouldn't try picking the bottom on this thing. I think you could potentially go much lower. We'll be looking at further support levels uh, and trying to figure out where the next major support is. For me, it's going to be right around this 5,300, 5,330 level, which is the pivot point here. It's served as a support level here, uh, a resistance level here. So I think that's the next opportunity to find some support. You're really now just grasping for straws uh, on this. So the weekly chart doesn't look great, and you just let it, we'll just let things go. We are about to see probably tomorrow or Monday at the latest, the death cross should happen with the 50 here dropping below the 200. That's usually not a very good sign either. So I know I'm full of cheer for you here, but uh, I don't have a lot of positives, to go with in here, except that this is we're getting to an extreme level. RSI is not extremely oversold yet on the weekly. We're getting there on the daily. We're not quite there yet. I think the one thing you want to watch out for um, here and is we're watching the VIX, and this was kind of my I know I'm jumping around today. This was kind of my indicator of choice for the day to see if this is a capitulation move. We're going to be watching volume. We're going to be watching where we are. As soon as we hit this low here, there was, again, no support, no resistance. You're at the 3 ATR, but you're just chasing it down. But what I wanted to see, besides oversold and starting to turn up, which we did, right here is I wanted to see the VIX get to an extreme level. And it did hit 29 today and it has now reversed itself quite a bit. I did use this opportunity here to get into a zero DTE trade because that VIX was extraordinarily high at the top. So I tried to top it here a bit and bottom it here a bit as things were oversold. I'm not saying that the bottom is in for the day, but with the high volatility, I think it makes it a decent opportunity trade. But that's not, again, here nor there. It doesn't give us any warm and fuzzies. I stopped out. I hope, it was probably, I wanted to wait an hour and change. I did wait an hour and a half. Uh, and I stopped myself out. That might have ticked the bottom and will go higher. It is what it is. I got to follow my plan. I let it go a little farther maybe than I normally would have, but I was waiting to see if the VIX would cool down. And I like the extreme reading. I like the fact that it's coming down. We'll see what happens. We saw it get higher, drop a bit, and then really take off. So between like 10:30 and 11, the VIX really, really got on a move uh, higher. And if we're looking at the S&P, it also continued to drop, not as much, but it continued to fall, but VIX raised. Gives me a little bit of hope here that this could be a really nice capitulation sign. Of course, we're going to probably reverse and go higher, and I'll have stopped out. That's how trading goes. You got to stick to your plan. Uh, Margin calls will be tomorrow. So, anybody today that gets margin called, by the end of trading today, they will get it on their plate tomorrow. Can that push the market lower tomorrow? It could. People may need to start selling and cleaning some things out. All depends on how the rest of today shapes up and how people were positioned. People were pretty, I think people were pretty well positioned. This is not fun to watch this today, and just pretty big gap down. I mean, from yesterday's high, 57.71 to 54, so, 300 point difference in 12 hours or so on the day. So it's a pretty extreme move. But I think as a capitulation piece, this might not be bad. So from a trader's perspective, I don't know how you want to, look at this. I don't think I want to enter anything yet. I'll give it a couple days. I have nothing to enter. My buying power is obviously a little bit higher than normal, but it's not bad. My buying power is not a problem at all. Um, and I'll just wait and see if there's opportunities to trade out there. I want to take advantage of it. So we'll give it some time. We'll see how today goes. There's a good chance we'll come off of these lows on the session. VIX, we'll see if it continues to drop. We'll see if the markets continue to come off of their lows. And what you really want, and this was the chart of the day for me. So here is the overnight low. So you heard and saw either Igor and myself talking about the ONL or the overnight low. Well, this was it on this candle. Occurred around 6:15 last night after we opened. So we opened, the market closed its normal session here uh, at 5 o'clock, and then we reopened at 6. On the 6 o'clock open, we opened, we gapped down, went lower, and then 15 minutes later, we went even lower. That was the overnight low. So it's the ONL. The key here is the fact that we did, this is what happened in the overnight session. So when Europe opened and didn't push this thing lower. That's a little suspicious from a is the low in standpoint. I would have liked to have seen something like what happened about an hour ago happen in the overnight session, but Europe, they didn't really push it down. So the overnight, I mean, it sold off slowly, and we really didn't get cranking until the market opened. We actually started to rally into the market open, and then as soon as the market opened, it headed lower. So as people were able to start trading stocks, yeah, they freaked out as they always do. They drove it lower. It was almost absolutely predictable. You could have shorted ES futures, I think, right at the open on this move up because you knew that people were going to panic sell out of things. And I like the VIX spiking today all the way up to 29. It's off of that high, decently right now. So we just keep looking at the VIX. But again, I like the panic. So I like the selling. I like the panic. I like the fact that we took out the overnight low, went a little bit lower. We even went a little bit lower after that, and now we've started to put in a bottom. I'm not saying the bottom is in, but this is not a bad looking capitulation day here. Volume on ES for the day. Let's go back to the daily here. We're already at half of yesterday's volume. I don't know if it's enough. We'll see. It's only 11:18 in the morning. I'd love to see us have the one of the best volume days there is. So I'd love to see a nice volume day. If we come off the lows and this turns into a hammer candle, I'm not telling you to go out and mortgage the house, but it's not a bad It's not a bad bottoming process here. It might take a few more days. There's going to be some ups and downs, but and I'm not saying the worst is in, but I can feel a little comfortable that the White House can't. I mean, they can. We know they can say something else, but they couldn't come out with a worse agenda on tariffs than they did yesterday. So the worst is out from them. There's some clarity. It's not great, but there is some clarity on it. And now the negotiation begins. And I don't think, I mean, it can be retaliatory and this and that, and markets will move. But I think you just stick with the charts and try to tune out some of that news. We had to hang in there. It was like an FOMC day yesterday. All right, so watch the downtrend line. That'll be your signal. There's your sign. Okay, as Bill Engvall would say. So there's your sign. So we're looking for this downtrend line to be broken. CW, I 100% agree because those numbers were bananas, and they are not actually tariffs. They were looking at like trade deficit and imbalances, dividing it, and it's crazy how they arrive at it. But either way, uh, the clarity is that we have enacted tariffs. So we know what the tariffs are. Whether you think they were right, wrong, upside down, how they calculated them doesn't matter. They're in. We sell off. This is good. Now we trade, and we'll look at where we can trade and what we can do today. So there's ES. I think we just wait, and we watch VIX and we watch the daily, and I think you just stay out of the way for now. My uh, zero DTE is over 50%. I am not taking it off right now. I'm going to let that thing cook for a while today. And we'll be a little bit more greedy. Maybe we'll pay for that dearly later. Who knows? All right, let's take a look at oil. Oil absolutely getting hammered here when we look at the news. Uh, Oversupply fears adding to tariff worries. I mean, I think this is really the key. Um, if watching the news, oil companies just getting smoked uh, on it. Eight OPEC plus countries announced they would advance their plan for oil output hikes. Hikes. Okay. So they are planning, OPEC plus is going to hike their output. So supply is going to rocket higher. Well, if supply is going to rocket and demand may not be great, and if you think we're even heading to a recession or something else, and demand falls a bit, well, that's what you get. So this is why oil is down today. Uh, they're going to increase output by 400,000 barrels a day there. So oil companies getting absolutely smacked around. Um, and again, the tariffs, okay, inflame global trade war will limit fuel demand. Uh, on it. Anyway, all right. So there's at least a little bit of news just to go with some of that. Uh, but there's a good reason for it is OPEC is going to increase productivity. Uh, so we didn't like oil anyway. It was in a downtrend. It was right up at the anchored VWAP in white here. That's where we hit. That's where we failed. We were at the top of the Bollinger Band. Okay. We have been falling on the weekly. We were gaining a bit on this on the daily, and we were heading towards the 200 day. I was not convinced that we were going a lot higher. We stayed in the strangle zone. Our strangle is actually doing okay. It's down a little bit today, but I mean, we're sitting nicely in the strangle. We're almost dead in the center on our strangle. We'll take a look at our positions, but strangle's in good shape. We have a 112, taking a little bit of a hit today, but I mean, our naked puts are down in the mid 50s, and this thing's at 66 here, heading towards these lows. So, can it go lower? It can. And I think it will. I was expecting oil to continue the downtrend, to be honest with you, but I think that our strangle's in good shape. No, it's not really taking a beating. We're down. 60%. We not, not even close to doing anything with it. On a day where we dropped 6 points, I'm totally fine with that. We're not close to being stopped out on anything. So I think that's what you look at is what do you have in trouble? And if you have to make any moves, you do it. We already took care of the one trade that was in trouble, and off it goes. All right, so there's oil futures. Right now, I don't have a trade for this thing. Uh, I'm not strangling it. It's RSI has broken the 40 to the downside. We've fallen farther. We're heading to the bottom of the Bollinger Band. I like the 21. I'm just going to stay where we are on it. No action on my oil 1-1. I don't have on my 1-1-1. Nothing to do there. We're not in the trap. We're nowhere near the naked puts. Nothing to do here. In fact, if we can get to 64 and a half down here, let's move this and we'll do this for everybody. But we're at 64 and a half is where see if I can get this fairly accurate. Probably not. Okay, somewhere here and lower. So this is the trap down in here. So if we head down lower, I can take it down to about what, 56. So there's the trap on our 112. So there's the trap. If we enter the trap at 64 and a half here, this is where we start to actually crank out some pretty good cash flow. The trap on the 111 is about 2,600 bucks. So if we end up in this zone, I mean, we don't really want to test the bottom of this zone, but if we start to enter this area, we're entering the trap, and that's where we start to make the really good cash. So, all right. Let's keep going. We'll take a look at that, and let's go into gold. Now, gold taking a beating today. Now, it did rocket up overnight, and then it has reversed itself on the session today. Uh, just gold eases after a record here, and just falling from a record high. Gold fell more than 3%. On the day after the record high, on news that the White House would exempt precious metals, from the reciprocal tariffs there. So, uh, flight to gold, flight to safety, jacked this thing up. It was overdone. Of course, yesterday I stopped out of gold. It kept running higher, so I felt pretty good. And now today we're down. So if you stayed in, you're probably okay. But you've got a gap to fill here, and we're pretty close to filling that gap with the tail today. I don't know if we'll fill it if we filled it completely. What was the low of the day? Low of the day was 3,073, and this gap was 3,071. So it didn't quite fill the gap. It might be good enough for government work. I don't know. Big volume, gold down. I don't have a trade in this thing right now. I think you can play it either way. I still think gold will eke its way higher. You're getting a little bit of a reprieve here. So I think we're fine. Nothing to do on that at all. All right. Question in the chat, is my ES strangled needing a close? It is not needing a close. It's only down 130 or so. So no, not at this point. Doesn't mean it can't, but not right now. So that thing is still cooking. It's okay. It is what it is. All right. Okay. So so there's gold. I don't have a trade in it right now. You're still overbought. I think you could still go lower. I wouldn't want to, have a lot of risk to the upside still in gold, but I think it's had a pretty good run, and I expect to pull back to here and then another bounce off. 112s don't really work well in gold, which I think would be the play. And you could maybe put a Jade Lizard on. That might be a decent play. Keep an eye on it, but gold just not doing well today off of this. But I think anytime this thing can rocket higher, this is not a big sign of weakness. I think it's just overbought. All right. Bonds having a great day today, as you would expect. Bonds moving their way higher. You can see on the weekly chart, we're having a phenomenal up week. Everything's pointing higher. Things look good. Bonds rising. People running to bonds. Now, that's going to be kind of a two-sided. Uh, did I like the idea of converting the inverse jade lizard to a strangle? I didn't think it's a bad idea. My problem was you still had risk to the upside, and yesterday, depending on your setup, you were probably seeing some serious problems. You got lucky today with the reverse. So obviously, in hindsight, I think it's not a bad trade. It was probably, and if gold just chills out a bit here, I think it's going to work out as a pretty good trade. I think Time Merchant did a really good job on that yesterday. However, if gold overnight was already up substantially, that would have really put some serious pressure on that uh, new strangle that you made, except that we reversed after it rolled up. So I don't know that that was the. I'm better just getting out. I don't like to adjust. Things can still go wrong, so I think you just follow your plan. All right, let's keep moving. Some futures here on bonds moving higher. I like it. We ended up buying ZB yesterday. We did write a covered call on it, but that trade has worked out extremely well so far. We were up, $200 in a day on that trade. We'll see what happens on it. We'll go back and look at the accounts in a little bit. All right, copper here, nose diving, silver really getting smoked. This is why we didn't get into anything in silver. If you're in silver, you are not having a good day today. If you're looking at the Nasdaq, certainly gap down on the session with the mags here that we'll touch base on shortly. You will notice this is not a Mag 7, but Costco is actually up on the day. Uh, I'm surprised Amazon's not doing a little bit better on the day, but Costco actually up. Everybody running to Costco to get their goods today, maybe before the tariffs start to kick in. Who knows? Small caps. Uh, talked about this being a potentially decent buying opportunity if we come down here and bounce off. I still think you might be getting some decent opportunities here, but small caps are going to be just hammered by the tariffs. They're going to be in big trouble. I don't see a reason for a big small cap bounce here. Either way, H pattern heading lower. We could see from about 2,300 to about 1990. Another 300 points below here to 1,600 or so. I think small caps have major, major problems out there. Would not be where I would be hunting for value. All right, taking a look at how things are. Let's take a look at the U.S. dollar quickly. Okay, U.S. dollar tanking again. I talked about it yesterday, why the U.S. wants the dollar to drop. They have interest to pay on their debt, and with the dollar dropping, the payment is going to be a lot less money. So uh, the administration is pretty happy with the dollar falling. That's certainly going to help trade imbalances. It's also going to help debt payments as the dollar falls. It's not worth as much. The interest payments on our debt not as bad um, as they were. So dollar significantly getting smoked. Uh, Aussie having a nice up day today. Let this thing just chill out. Again, I don't think I would rush to trade much of anything. The euro having a huge day against the US dollar, very strong. The British pound having a huge day to the upside today. These are all good upside trades. Nothing great for Strangles. I think you stay out. And if you look at gold, or here's oil volatility, you want to know what's really hurting us in it's not the fact that we dropped 5 points in oil. It's the fact that volatility, okay, went from 31 to 42. That's a 33% increase in oil volatility. That is the whole reason that we're down, and we're not down that bad. So I'm okay if it's all really in the volatility. And gold volatility has also spiked up decently today. All right. That's pretty much it there. Nothing crazy. Amazon just getting beat up. It's now down at the anchored VWAP. I like this area for Amazon. I do like Amazon more than any of the others. It's getting beat up abnormally today uh, on all of this, tariff stuff. But um, the big TikTok news yesterday was really interesting. I think that would be a massive get for Amazon. Not because of the TikTok platform, but because of AWS being the hosting server for TikTok and TikTok, the hugeness, not a word necessarily, of it. I think that gives you uh, a great amount of money and volume onto Amazon Web Services. So I think, and TikTok is a massive platform for selling goods. Okay? And that's most of the people I know that are over 25 that are on TikTok are using it as a platform to sell. I think Amazon picking that up, if it goes through, would be a great get for Amazon. So good day yesterday, giving it back today, uh, and I think you're getting a deal on Amazon here. If I look at, hang on, let me pull something else up for you. I know it's a lot of different stuff today. I think it's just good to run through a lot of different pieces today with you guys. If you have questions, you can certainly pop them in. But to me, the value of Amazon is somewhere around, maybe 200, 190 to $200 a share, and we're at 180. Okay. Absolutely a good deal right here on Amazon. I'm not telling you should buy Amazon today necessarily, but this is a great deal, I believe, on Amazon. I don't love Google. It's not my favorite. I think they have serious problems on Google. I don't think I would be getting long on it, but I think the intrinsic value on this thing's around 190 or so as well. This thing is definitely in the money. It is at a discount on Google. What's the PE on Google? Okay, $19 price to earnings ratio on Google. It's a pretty good multiple on Google. And if we look at Amazon, it's at 34.80. So it's still a little pricey. Google, super value. I don't love the company as much as I love many of the other ones out there, but I don't think you might have a gap fill coming down here. Is the low end? I don't know, but not the worst trade. Nvidia, the valuation on Nvidia is around $80 in my opinion. We're at 105 today, 103 right now on this thing. I think it can go lower. PE of 37. Again, these PEs are certainly getting, massively adjusted, but uh, I I put the value of Nvidia around $80 a share, and we're at 103. So I think you could fall further. I think you just hold off a little bit before you get crazy on Nvidia. Tesla, though, look how well this thing is holding up, in my opinion. So you do have the downtrend, but you're getting close to breaking this downtrend in this symmetrical triangle in here. So I do like the look of this. This is, while it's down today, a decent amount, 5% down, overall, it's not anywhere near its lows. It's still in a short-term uptrend on this with RSI right around the 50. And look at the weekly here. You've got MACD reversing, RSI rising, stochastic momentum starting to reverse. This is not a bad spot for Tesla. Yeah, their delivery numbers weren't great yesterday. Uh, I, intrinsic value of a company, I can arrive at it a couple different ways. I do use some old Warren Buffett valuations where I use their 5-year earnings growth rate, comparing current yields of bonds to average yields of bonds, uh, and their current EPS numbers to do a little calculation. A down and dirty way to calculate. This is down and dirty. This is not what I am telling you that you should do. But if you take uh, the 5-year earnings per share growth rate, okay, add 7 to that, and then multiply that by the earnings per share. So it's earnings per share times 7 plus the growth rate. Okay? That gets me a pretty rough guesstimate uh, on earnings per share. And I feel that's or on intrinsic value. So add 7 to the 5-year growth rate. Okay? So if it's a 30% growth rate, you're taking 37 times uh, the EPS number, whatever that might be, the earnings per share. And that should give you the value. So if we wanted to do this on, let's do it on Hood, okay, which is one of my favorites in here, which is also not at a low either. I think Hood's starting to give you a really good value. You know, if you like SoFi or you like some of this fintech stuff, I think Hood's better. Okay, I think Hood is going to dominate the market space. Do I love it as a trading platform for professional traders? I absolutely do not. However, I think there's a lot of good things that you can do on this from a retail trading standpoint, and I think they're adding nice features uh, to the platform that I think are going to pay off. So let's calculate the intrinsic value on Hood. So I believe they have my calculator handy. Maybe somebody can do this. Well, I guess I can pop up the calculator, but 35 is the 5-year projected growth rate. Add 7 to that, that's 42. And their current EPS, uh, hang on, it may not work on this one. Let's see. Why do I have 1 here? I have to take a look at it. The growth rate, Chuck, I think you got to look at a couple different. They don't give it to you easily, like on Google or something like that. I use. Oh, let me see if I can find it here for you. Simply Wall Street. So Simply Wall Street, I use that to get some of those rates. If not, I'll try to calculate it myself a bit from or find that info. But Simply Wall Street's one area where I think you can find some of that data. So yeah, I don't know. My Hood one seems to be a little bit off. Oh, current EPS. So I'm sorry, I looked at the wrong number. So current EPS on Hood. Let's get back to this again. Where is my EPS on Hood? I'm looking at like 1-ish on this as a projected, like this 101 Q4. 1.01 was the last reported number. So 1 times 35 plus 7, which is 42, puts this thing around 46, or about 42-ish, 43-ish as an intrinsic value. Again, that's a very rough calculation. Okay, but that's what I'm doing is I'm taking the earnings per share number, which in this case is 1, okay, times 7 plus the growth rate. And the growth rate to me is around 35. So puts us somewhere around 42-ish, 45-ish. I think it's like 1.1. So uh, there you go. That's and we're at 38. So to me, it's on sale a bit here, which a lot of things are, but not everything is cheaper than it should be. So I like Tesla. I like Hood here. Meta getting absolutely just wrecked today. If you're looking at Meta as well, this thing has a value of around 600, and 40 or so. We're at 540, so pretty good discount. I don't know that the low is in on this thing. However, this is the pivot level. This might not be the worst spot to take a look at Meta and do something there. If I'm going to sell or buy leaps, either one of those, I will be looking more at uh, the weekly chart versus the daily chart here. All right. While we're talking, the markets have recovered pretty nicely so far. So we started talking right here at 54.17. Okay, actually, right about here, about 54.22. 54.19, and we're now at 54.60. So I have talked the markets up 50 points. You're welcome. And I've also knocked VIX down for you from 29 to 27. Our zero DTE is now up 77% on the day. I'm just using that to get myself some cash. All right, let's get out of this. I want to wrap up here in the next 5 minutes. So there's a lot of good little takeaways I think that you have from these things. Let's look at the account and boom, let's move over to this and give me 1 second. Okay, so whoops. Screen share, and here we go. Let's just jump into the account. Uh, it's an ugly looking day from a P&L standpoint. It's all due to SPY, but we'll go through it. So here's our two oil trades. Yeah, we're down 50%. We're nowhere near a stop on this thing. And if we can get into this trap, as I showed you earlier, I'm going to love this trade. So got plenty of time. It's all good. Nothing to worry about there. This strangle trade, it's down 50%. But IV is, you saw, I just showed you how IV had spiked massively uh, on it. So there you go. Nothing to do there. Let's look at ES. Uh, we got these two put flies on. I'm fine with these right now. I'm not going to do anything with these things. Uh, they're meant to go to the wall. So we'll see. But we're in the right direction. We're just now entering a little bit of that trap. If we're finding a bottom here, these are going to pay nicely. We'll see what happens. Um, Vol hedge up a little bit today. It's doing its job more on the buying power, which is fine. I'm not worried about making a ton of money, but it is paying off a little bit today. This PDS that we had rolled, it's doing pretty well right now. I'm going to probably close something out here. So what I want to do is I want to take a look at this trade right here. This is our FB 112. So I had to close my 112 today from, I had to close the 112 trade from a 112C today. It hit its stop loss. So yeah, I've just followed my piece on it. But I've got $8,000 in this trade right now. Now, if I look at this trade, the most I'm going to get is 12K. I can let this go a little bit more, but I've made $8,000. I've also rolled this thing once, so I've already taken out on this trade. Let's see if I can find it here. Here's the roll. Here's the roll on the FB trade. I've already taken out 1,325 bucks. So I've already taken out 1,300. There's another $8,000 sitting here. I'm going to take it today, and we're going to see if we can get up. There we go. So I'm going to close that trade. That should give me a nice $8,000 winner. So if I take that thing here. I know you can't see what I'm doing. It's okay. You guys that are members, Can always look at the spreadsheet to see what I did here, but I took this out today. There's the stop out at 69 on the one on the naked put, but at 118 even on this thing. So we've made another about 4,600 bucks on this trade. All right, so we'll take the win today on that. I know that it said 8,000, but it's not. Um, but I'm going to take the win, and I'm going to take the 4,500 bucks out there. You can see my SPX is still open and running. We'll see how that market continues to act in here. All right, so we took some profits there. We could potentially close another put debit spread down. This one we've also rolled on the 0255 trade. What did we do here? This one we took out $1,000 already by rolling up the spread, and we still have good cash left in this thing uh, here. So what I may do is we're going to close this one down as well. So this is the 0255. It's the oldest one we had working. And I'm going to close this one down too. So the reason for these is A, you make some money on the downside, but B, it's going to offset a good chunk of my loss on one naked put today. So let's close this thing out here at 975. Okay, so we're going to book a little more profit, not a ton on it, but I'm gonna take some more of the profit out of that trade. So we've made maybe 2 grand on that trade altogether, and maybe 6 grand on the other one. So we've made 8 grand on the put debit spreads so far. So I like them. This one's also pretty substantial, 0264. You got to ignore these P&Ls here, but let's see. If we would close this trade for 20 bucks, $20 is what we'll get on this trade. Tasty can't get these things right. It does not know when you roll how to calculate anything. So it's not $10,000. But what was it? 20 bucks I can get out of this trade. 20 bucks, and this one is the 264. If I close this one, I'll take out about $1,800 on this thing. I've also already rolled the puts once on this one. 264. Which one was it? 264. Where are you? Ah, there we are. So we've already taken $2,000 out of this trade already, and if we close it now, we're going to take out another $2,000. So we're going to take $4,000 out of this put debit spread. So we've really done a pretty good job if I would close this one today, and I've already rolled it. If I can get 20 for it, I'm going to do it. Okay. So we'll take the 20 out on that one. So we'll book more gains on it. We only have one naked put open, so there's really no reason to need all of these, and they're doing their job 100%. All right, so 20 bucks on that. 3. We're going to book another 1,800. So we have booked now $6,700 worth of gains to offset the naked put loss. So I think that's pretty good. I don't think we need to do much more. If I want to, I will consider, I'm going to wrap up here with you guys on it. We'll do a quick run through of everything else. This at the money, it's fine. I'm not doing anything with this. We're in the trap. It's down at 5,000. I'm not doing anything. This Jade Lizard, it's down. It's down 2x. I may stop out of it. We'll see. But it's really volatility based. We're nowhere near any of these pieces. We're in the trap. I like the trade. Okay. It's in pretty good shape. You're dead center in the middle of this thing. I'm going to leave it on for just a little bit more. This is a very small loss for me. It's less than 1% of the account, or about 1% of the account. So I'm going to leave that running. We do have a naked put here. This thing's up 50 bucks. Nothing to do with that naked put. It's fine. Here's that strangle. You guys are asking me out. It's down about 130%. It's not great, but it's fine for now. And if we look at the strangle, you're not dead center, but you're in pretty good shape on this strangle. It's all volatility based, so I'm not touching it at all. Nothing to do there. Got a naked put here, nothing to do there. So nothing to do on ES. ZB, we have the covered call that we wrote with ZB rocking up. It's just passing our covered call strike, which is fine. I just want the extrinsic value of this thing to come out. And we own the futures here. The futures are up a nice 1,500 bucks or so on the futures. I'll take that. So 1,500 bucks. These are up minus the 600. We're still up a ton of money on this trade in one day. Nothing to do there. This strangle is fine. Nothing to do there. Here's our 0 DTE. It's now up 72%. Yeah, let's just take it off for 15. We'll see if we get filled on it. I'd let it go further than the usual 50%. We're going to make another 470 bucks on the day. And then SPY, yeah, we got our leaps on. Nothing to do on any of these leaps. They're not at any problems at all. It's just owning them long term. It's fine. And then our covered call here is beautiful on this thing. So our covered call, out of 1,220 bucks, there's only 160 of extrinsic left. I think we should close, take the extrinsic. Okay. Oh, 79, good. All right, and then we'll write another one probably for this Friday. All right, I have to jump because I've got another session coming up. But for Friday, which is tomorrow, I could sell another at the money and take in another 500 bucks, almost $1,000 tomorrow with another at the money. Let's go up 1 to 455. Let's just go here. This is for tomorrow. And I'm just going to sell another one. Boom. So we'll make another $800 on that trade. So we made about $1,000 already in a couple days, offset any of the losses. We're in good shape on these. So nothing else to do. There we are. I think you could take a look at the markets right now. I think I would hold off. I wouldn't go crazy if I was everybody here. But I think there's some deals out there, and deals I like right now. I think Amazon is a screaming deal. Let's just let things shake out a bit. I think Hood is a good deal, and I think Tesla is a good deal. But I also think SPY is a really good deal. So if you want to stick away from the stocks, which I don't blame you because stocks suck, I would take a look at SPY here. I may, in the Lazy Trader account, add some more SPY today. I don't know if I'm going to buy a leap or sell a leap, but we'll cover that in the Discord. We're going to let everybody go. Have a great rest of your day, folks. Stay safe out there and just stick to your plan, which is what we did. And we pretty much are flat on the session as far as realized goes. Closed a couple put debit spreads for winners. Already had rolled those, so they're in great shape. We still have plenty of them on. We only have one naked put on anyway, so we don't have a ton of risk. And if I'm looking at my buying power right now, it's like 70 something. So it's not too bad considering where things spiked and things went to. And it's all in SPY right now. We just let that cook. All right, we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.